Hello and welcome to the Curate Study. Please come in and have a seat. Now, this is the second of our new series called Wondering Wednesdays. And so it's Wednesday, and I was wondering how many people know the difference between a curate, a rector, a vicar, and a priest. Now, this is a little bit complicated, so you might want to get yourself a cup of tea. Thank you, my love. That's my beautiful wife, Angela. And make yourself comfortable. So don't worry if you find the different titles a bit confusing, because to be honest, I know how you feel. I'm a relative newcomer to the Church of England, and I've had quite a steep learning curve getting to understand its traditions, its terms, and its practices. So let me put this down for a second and we'll begin. So I am technically the Reverend Marckerslake. I'm an assistant curate in training, but I am not a vicar, a curate, or a rector, or a parson for that matter. You see what I mean? It's quite confusing, isn't it? So actually, if we were going to be absolutely accurate, this channel should be called From the Assistant Curate's Study. But I'll get to that in a minute. Why am I called Reverend? Well, when I was ordained in the cathedral by Bishop Robert, my bishop, I was given the title Reverend to recognise the particular calling on my life and the commitments I've made in the promises I gave there. And it's a title I will keep. So there are reverends working in roles that are nothing to do with the church, but who have been ordained, like I have been. But it is not a title of a job. It is an honorary title in some respects. So, vicar, rector and parson are all specific job titles. And quite often you'll find in parishes and mission communities they appear to be interchangeable, but actually they aren't. When a reverend takes on a role looking after a parish, he becomes the priest, but also he becomes the vicar, possibly the parson, and possibly the rector, depending on which type of parish or parishes it is. So when I first started my training here in the Churches for All mission community, my boss, the Reverend Chris Martin, not the chap from Coldplay, I stress, was the vicar here. And as such, Reverend Chris was responsible for the cure of souls for the parishes. Better thought of in today's language as the care of souls in his parishes. And hence, because he was responsible for the cure of souls, he was the curate. And as I assisted him, or am assisting him, in his role, I became his assistant curate. But that doesn't make me a vicar, even though he has now moved on to a role as the rector of some other parishes. I remain the assistant curate. The role of rector for the mission community, or vicar for the mission community, remains vacant until a new priest is selected to fulfill the position. Now, to make things slightly more confusing, there is another term, parson, which is an old term, which essentially, in the most broadest of senses, means the same as rector or vicar, but in my experience is really only used nowadays in some country parishes. Although I have to admit I've got quite a soft spot for the term parson, being a bit of a country bumpkin myself. So I hope that makes sense. To strip it down to its most basic, when someone is ordained, they become the reverend, and they are therefore a priest. But that does not make them a vicar or a rector. They become vicar or rector when they take up a specific role in a specific parish or sets of parishes, because those two terms are job titles. Whilst you're like me and you're still in training, you are an assistant curate to whoever it is who has the cure of souls, the curacy of that particular group of parishes. Most people tend to call me the curate because traditionally that's what the assistant to a vicar or a rector has been called, but more accurately I would be the assistant curate. Now you see why you needed a cup of tea? Well, over the next few months, as we wander on Wednesdays, I will attempt to demystify some of the other traditions and customs of the Church of England. We're going to look at things like Why do we choose hymns in a certain way? Where do the readings that we get in church, or how do we choose the readings that we get in church every Sunday? Do we just choose them on the top of our heads because we like them? Or is there some specific requirement that we have certain readings on certain days? We're going to look at the church's year. We're going to look at things like, why do the colours of the scarves or the stoles that priests wear change? Why do the hangings on the front of the communion table and the pulpit change? We might look at the differences between the creeds, the statements of belief that we say in our churches. And if you email me with a question at my email address, which I'll put in the description section of this, you never know, I might decide that I can do a short wondering on Wednesday about your question. So I'd encourage you, if you've liked what you've seen here from the Curate study, please subscribe to our channel, and if you click the like button, you'll get notifications then of whenever we post something new. Until we meet again, my friends, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. God bless you.